Hey guys, Dan Hood, Big DH 2000 here. I use a lot of materials and several people have asked me some questions. So I figured I better make a few things clear here. Um, you hear me talk a lot about canvas phenolic, okay? Phenolic resin, developed for the space program, maybe even a little before that. Um, I'm not exactly sure when or how or why it was developed, whether it was developed for the circuit boards that it used to be used in a lot, and I think still is used in some circuit boards, or whether it was developed for to replace metal parts with something that had just as much strength and durability but was lighter. Anyway, the whole NASA space program, aerospace, Lockheed, all them, they developed this mess, okay? Used to only come in one color, this color. And you can distinctly tell phenolic because if you look when you sand it, even when you sand the black stuff, there's a yellow tinge to the powder, okay? It has a very distinct smell and it's formaldehyde based, okay? Some years later, big electrical panels, that you find in huge high-rise buildings needed a material to hold some of their circuit boards, things like that, all that kind of stuff. They started mixing graphite in it. Okay, that's what makes it black. Same thing, just got graphite mixed in the resin. Sand's a little different because, graphite, okay? There's an additive to it. As far as the two go, neither one delaminates that I've found, but I found that the resin is a little bit nicer in this one than this one because obviously there's graphite mixed in it, okay? It's not pure resin and cloth. This is layered. When you say canvas, it's basically layered canvas cloth, cotton cloth, okay? They layer it. It's a certain thickness, and that's about all they can do. It's usually pretty even, but you know what? It's cloth, okay? Cloth never lays perfect no matter how well you stretch it or lay it or press it, okay? These are both made for industrial reasons. You rarely see them made for pretty, so you're likely to find flaws in them at times when you're trying to make something pretty. Nothing wrong with that, just what it is. As far as sanding this, cutting this, these actually cut pretty well. Okay, these two materials, they cut pretty well, but they are brutal to sand. Okay, I'd say it takes me 2 to 3 times as much sanding to get the scratches out of this as it does G10. Okay, I think the reason being is that the resin is a little more flexible. Okay, a little softer because they want it to behave like a metal. So if you get a fork hit in this, it usually creates a dent like you see in aluminum. Okay, but other than appearance, it doesn't usually make a sharp edge. It just makes the dent, and you can usually keep shooting your slingshot after for a while. I eventually advise sanding it and cleaning it up eventually. Make sure there's no rough edges. There usually aren't, but sometimes there's a rough edge, okay? And, that can cut your bands no matter where it is. So that's that. Comes in these two colors only, folks, because phenolic has an amber color to it or a yellowish color. Now be careful, canvas phenolic. There's also just phenolic resin that's poured like Corian, okay? That has no structural properties to it whatsoever. Do not use it on anything but palm swells and scales, okay? You still need something structural in the middle. Just like you wouldn't hold up Corian and put bands on it and shoot, don't hold up anything but canvas phenolic and shoot it, okay? Then we come to G10, okay? G10 is a very different resin, okay? Kind of a milky color, sometimes a little pink, okay? It depends on, there's 1 or 2 versions of it that they use in the resin. It's basically stretched fiberglass, okay? If you look in here closely, you can see the fiberglass mesh, okay? Here's it in black, okay? The fiberglass mesh is a lot thinner. You can stack more layers of it. I think this was, I'm not exactly sure when this was invented, but it seems to have just overwhelmed the knife making and the gun scaling community. You know, I don't know if it was developed for it or not, but given the strength, I'm sure it was developed for something else first. I haven't bothered to look. Several things about G10. It's a little more rigid, okay? Not as flexible, okay? If you look, let me grab this piece since I'm dropping it. It doesn't flex, okay? It is very, very hard. Several things happen because of that, okay? First of all, it is brutal on saws, okay? Nothing will dull your saws and your rasps quicker than G10, okay? It just is. But it is fantastic to sand, okay? It is so much easier to sand than phenolic because the scratches come out quickly, okay? And you can quickly get to a glass finish, okay? At least that's my finding, okay? Some may disagree, but I'll just tell you this right now. The other beauty of G10, because of the resin color, you can mix any color in it and it works, okay? I mean, you've seen, there is just hundreds of colors, okay? Makes you be able to do anything you want. You know, the knife industry, like I said, it overtook that, and now we use it a lot in the slingshot world, you know, good structural material. Now, my only complaint about G10 is when you get a fork hit, while it does do the dimple or the divot, the edges, because it's so hard, the edges are a bit sharp, okay? And once you get a fork hit, you really need to sand the edges of that fork hit down a little bit to make sure they don't cut your bands, okay? Now, if you're buying a G10 slingshot, I hate to say it, but you should already be good enough. You're not really getting fork hits very often. But if you do get a fork hit, you're probably going to have to stop for a minute and quickly lightly sand it so that the sharp edges don't start cutting your bands or anything, okay? It's just something I've noticed. It's a little different between the two materials. But let me tell you, if you really want to shine, it is so much easier to get a shine on G10 and sand it and glass that bad boy up, and it's way less effort, okay? Just as strong. You can use just as thin, just as thick. They'll take just as much pressure on them, just as much abuse. The only thing is, when you abuse G10, you sometimes got to get in a little maintenance a little sooner than you do on phenolic. And it's more, it has nothing to do with structural, has nothing to do with appearance. They're both going to look bad if you fork hit them. A fork hit is a fork hit. Going to look bad no matter where it's at. The only thing is sometimes the fork hit on G10 leaves a rough spot that can damage your bands, so you might want to hit it with a little sandpaper. It's not bad if you're just shooting at home. It's really annoying if something like that happens when you're out at a shoot and you got to either take care of it right away or put that thing down and grab another one until you have a chance to clean it up. Nothing negative. I love G10. I love sanding it. I love the colors available in it. I love phenolic too, okay? But phenolic, you're limited. Now, I don't have any of it here because every time I buy it, I build a whole bunch of slingshots and boom, they're gone. There is now this thing called canvas micarta. Okay, it's been around for a while, but it's really starting to find its way. And basically, what canvas micarta is it's the resin in G10 with the canvas that you find in Phenolic, and they layer it, and you get, to me, you get the kind of the best of both worlds. Okay, you get the really beautiful ability of sanding that G10 offers. Okay, but you get the canvas that seems to hold that resin just a little bit better, so that when you do get a fork kit, there's no sharp edges. Okay, I've really enjoyed it, and in fact, I got some on order, but like I said, as fast as I can get it, I make stuff on it, and I get orders for it, you know. So I don't have a piece here right at the moment, but personally, I think that's the way I'm going to head more and more. I've only seen about 4 colors in it so far. Okay, hopefully we get more and more, and I know that Mazecraft is really going crazy on it, and I've seen it also at Pop's Knife Supply over here in Georgia. Those are the 2 places I shop the most for my materials. So hopefully we'll see more and more of that material. Some people say, "Oh, that's been here forever." Not as available, because maybe it's just the knife industry is just finding it, because most of the industries out there, they're attaching it to something, you know, attaching it to guns, so it doesn't need as much structural, so that they don't care as long as it sands up like glass and looks good, is what most people are after. For me, I'm looking for structural as well. So I really, really like that canvas micarta that's been coming out. I love G10, and I love canvas phenolic. You know, they're all good. They're all worthwhile. They're all worth taking your time to learn. So we'll just have to see. And, you know, everyone looks a little different. You know, canvas phenolic comes out looking real industrial and ready to take a beating. G10 kind of looks so slick and smooth and so pretty. And then you have this canvas phenolic, which is somewhere in the middle, which is kind of like, you know, like everybody talks about, you know, kind of a mix of business and pleasure kind of thing. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, sorry I went on so long. Just be ready. If you're going to do G10, it's going to eat up your saws, but you'll love sanding it. If you're going to do canvas phenolic, not as hard on your saws, but golly, get ready to sand for a minute. Safety note, ventilated area or wet sand, or wear a mask, and put up a dust collection system, because both of these are not good for your lungs. Okay, especially when they're in dust form. Anyway, take it easy.